Maximum Carnage. It is one of the most iconic and violent Spider-Man crossover events of the 1990s, published in 1993 and spanning 14 issues across multiple Spider-Man titles like Amazing Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, and Spider-Man Unlimited. The storyline brings together Spider-Man's most dangerous villain, Carnage, and his sadistic new family of killers, plunging New York into a nightmarish killing spree. The chaos begins when Clarence Cassidy, aka Carnage, escapes from Ravencroft Asylum, bringing his alien symbiote back with him. But he doesn't just want to escape. He wants to destroy everything. Carnage assembles a murderous team to unleash carnage literally across Manhattan. There's Shriek, a sound manipulation psychopath who becomes Carnage's deranged lover. Her powers amplify the city's violence, turning civilians into mobs of madness. There's Doppelganger, a monstrous six-armed clone of Spider-Man, Carrion, a decaying Death Touch villain, and Demogoblin, a demonic hell-obsessed goblin. Together they become a cult-like family of chaos, spreading fear, death, and riots throughout New York City. Realizing the threat is far too much for him alone, Spider-Man gathers allies, some traditional, others more extreme. There's Venom, Captain America, Iron Fist and Cloak and Dagger, Black Cat, Morbius, Nightwatch, Deathlock, and Firestar, who form a loose and easy alliance to combat the growing tide of destruction. But as the city descends into madness, conflicts within the group erupt. Some, like Venom and Morbius, want to kill Carnage outright, while Spider-Man desperately clings to his no-kill rule, refusing to stoop to Carnage's level. As Carnage's group murders indiscriminately, Spider-Man is pushed to his breaking point. Eventually, the heroes discover a way to counteract Shriek's psychic influence over the public using a goodness amplifier device, powered by Dagger's light and Firestar's energy. In the final battle, Spider-Man confronts Carnage alone, refusing to kill him, even when given the chance. With help from Venom and Captain America, Carnage is subdued and taken back into custody, but not without scars. The city is shaken, the body count is high, and Spider-Man is left to wonder whether his mercy was bravery or naivety. And this event was hugely popular, spawning video games, toys, including a Maximum Carnage beat-em-up video game for Sega Genesis, and this event is still to this day one of the most brutal Spider-Man events ever, and it solidified Carnage as one of Spidey's most terrifying villains. It introduced the concept of Carnage's family, later expanded in Absolute Carnage and King in Black, and showed Spider-Man in a new light, emotionally worn, morally conflicted, but still unwilling to cross the line. Siege. It's a 2010 Marvel crossover event, serving as the climatic end to the Dark Reign era. Siege brings together years of storytelling involving Norman Osborn's rise to power, the fracturing of the Avengers, and the fall of Asgard itself. It's a fast-paced, brutal event that re-establishes the true Avengers, brings Thor back into the center of the Marvel universe, and ends with the redemption of several characters and the death of others. So after the events of Secret Invasion, Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, became the head of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s replacement, Hammer, and the de facto controller of superhero policy in America. With his own twisted team of Avengers, really just villains in disguise, and allies like Taskmaster, Bullseye, and the Sentry, Osborn built a fake image of peace and order, while suppressing dissent and hunting true heroes. But Asgard, recently returned to Earth and floating over Broxton, Oklahoma, stood outside his control, and that made it a threat. Osborn, manipulated by Loki, decides to use a manufactured incident as a pretext to declare war on Asgard. When Volstagg, one of the Warriors' Three, is framed for a disaster at Soldier Field, Osborn presents it as a terrorist attack and uses it to rally support for a full-scale invasion. And despite warnings from people like Reno Var, aka Captain Marvel, and Ares, Osborn gathers his Dark Avengers, launches an illegal assault on Asgard, and tells the world it's for national security. But this time the real heroes won't stand down, with the Dark Avengers, Hammer forces, and the insane Sentry now fully embracing his evil void side. Osborn leads an all-out attack on Asgard. Thor is overwhelmed and shot down early in the fight. Ares, the god of war, realizes too late that the war is based on lies, and when he turns on Osborn, he is gruesomely ripped in half by the Sentry. And just when things seem at their darkest, Steve Rogers, no longer dead, returns, leading the true Avengers, including Iron Man, Cap, and others, to take the fight directly to Osborn. As the battle escalates, the Sentry fully transforms into the Void, becoming a near-unstoppable weapon of destruction. Even the combined power of the Avengers and Asgardians struggle to stop him. He destroys Asgard, bringing the floating city crashing to the ground. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, Osborn's Iron Patriot armor is shattered and his public breakdown ends his reign. Realizing the Sentry can't be saved, Thor is forced to kill his old ally. He uses Mjolnir to finally destroy the Void, killing Bob Reynolds and bringing an end to the madness. With Osborn arrested and his dark reign ended, the true heroes reclaim their place in the Marvel Universe. The end of Siege leads to the Heroic Age. Steve Rogers is offered control of national security, but instead forms a new Avengers initiative, reuniting the classic team. Thor rebuilds Asgard, and the Asgardians settle more peacefully on Earth, and Iron Man and Cap reconcile, setting aside their past to rebuild together. And Norman Osborn is imprisoned, but his influence lingers, laying groundwork for future threats. So the Siege event was a short, explosive, and emotionally charged event that brings closure to years of dark storytelling. It reminds readers why Steve Rogers, Thor, and Tony Stark matter, and provides a satisfying dramatic fall for Norman Osborn's dark empire. Shadowland. It's a street-level, gritty saga centered around Daredevil, but this time he is the villain. After years of struggling with crime and corruption in Hell's Kitchen, Daredevil makes a drastic choice. He takes over the Hand, a powerful ninja organization, and uses it to enforce his own brutal version of justice. So after becoming the leader of the Hand, Daredevil initially hopes to use them for good, but the organization's ancient evil influence begins to twist Matt Murdock's mind, corrupting his soul without him even realizing it. Seeking to cleanse Hell's Kitchen, Daredevil builds Shadowland, a massive fortress prison temple in the middle of New York. From there, he and his ninja forces crack down on crime mercilessly, executing criminals without trial. Though makes it worse, Daredevil isn't just leading the Hand, he's slowly being possessed by a demonic entity, known as the Beast, the dark god the Hand worships. The turning point comes early. Bullseye, Daredevil's longtime nemesis, responsible for killing Elektra and Karen Page, attacks. In cold blood, Daredevil kills Bullseye, and this shocking moment confirms to everyone that Matt Murdock is no longer the man they knew. The execution sends shockwaves throughout New York's street-level heroes. As Daredevil's forces grow more violent, these street-level heroes band together to confront him. Spider-Man tries to reason with him, Luke Cage and Iron Fist lead the charge to bring Matt back, Moon Knight and Misty Knight operate in the shadows, trying to disrupt the Hand's growing influence, and the Punisher, always brutal, sees the Hand as an infestation to be exterminated, and Elektra, with her complex history with both Matt and the Hand, returns to help save him, or kill him if necessary. Meanwhile, Kingpin and Lady Bullseye manipulate events behind the scenes, hoping to seize power amid the chaos. As Shadowland unfolds, it becomes clear Matt Murdock is possessed by the Beast. He builds an army of corrupted ninjas, turning New York streets into a war zone, and Shadowland itself becomes a dark temple of death, radiating evil across the city. Daredevil fights his closest friends. Even Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, whose she powers could have healed Matt, struggles to reach him. Ultimately, it's not Fist that save Matt, it's words. Foggy Nelson and Elektra manage to break through the Beast's control, reminding Matt of who he really is. Realizing the horror of what he's done, Matt Murdock takes his own life to stop the Beast's influence, though he later survives in secret and goes into exile. With Daredevil gone, Hell's Kitchen is left without a guardian, but not for long. T'Challa, aka the Black Panther, steps in, taking over as the city's protector in Black Panther: The Man Without Fear. Matt Murdock embarks on a journey of redemption, setting the stage for his eventual return to New York, and the Hand retreats, their power broken but not completely destroyed, and the balance of street-level power shifts, affecting characters like Kingpin, Punisher, and Moon Knight. Some praised the event for boldly pushing Daredevil into darker territory, offering an intense emotional ride, and some felt the event was rushed, with the Beast possession twist making Matt's fall feel less personal and more supernatural. Still, street-level heroes like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Moon Knight gained new relevance through their involvement, and Daredevil's character was profoundly altered, leading into a softer reboot in Daredevil by Mark Waid, focusing on Matt's recovery and lightening his tone. Infinity. Spanning across titles like Avengers, New Avengers, and the main Infinity series, this 2013 event tells two massive parallel stories: a cosmic war against an alien empire called the Builders, and a devastating Earth-level invasion led by Thanos himself. So while the Avengers are off-planet dealing with a galactic threat, Thanos uses their absence to invade Earth, searching for his hidden, inhuman son. Meanwhile, in deep space, the ancient alien race known as the Builders has begun systematically destroying entire civilizations, believing that the universe must be purged of flawed life. The Builders are an ancient godlike race responsible for the creation of life in the universe. Now they've determined that Earth is a threat to the cosmic balance and decide to destroy it, and the Avengers, along with the Shi'ar, Kree, Skrulls, and other galactic empires, form an uneasy alliance to stop them. the builders prove nearly unstoppable, using hyper-advanced technology and nihilistic tactics to destroy entire star systems, and the Avengers ultimately defeat them. With Earth's mightiest heroes fighting in space, Thanos and his Black Order arrive on Earth to demand tribute and sow destruction, leaving the planet vulnerable. The Black Order comprised of Corvus Clave, Proxima Midnight, Ebony Maw, Supergiant, and Black Dwarf, and the Inhumans led by Black Bolt refuse to give Thanos what he wants. In a last-ditch move, Black Bolt unleashes his voice at full power, causing the destruction of Attilan, the Inhuman capital, and triggering the global spread of the Terrigen Mist, which activates latent Inhuman DNA across Earth, setting up future Inhuman stories. Thane is discovered and captured, but when his powers activate, he kills half of a city instantly and encases Thanos and his Black Order in living amber, freezing them in time. While these larger battles unfold, the Illuminati continue their secret efforts to protect Earth from multiversal destruction, and this ties into the parallel storyline in New Avengers, where inclusions, alternate universes colliding, are beginning to threaten our reality. Although not the main focus of Infinity, these inclusions lay the foundation for the collapse of the multiverse and the eventual events of Secret Wars 2015. So this event introduced the Black Order, now iconic villains used in both the comics and the MCU's Avengers Infinity War. And one special thing about this event, the artwork is consistently cinematic. Access. Short for Avengers and X-Men Access, it is a 2014 Marvel crossover event. This event takes the classic Marvel theme of moral conflict and flips it on its head. At the heart of Access is the idea of inversion. A magical event causes many of Marvel's most iconic characters to have their moral compasses reversed, turning heroes into tyrants and villains into saviors. The story begins with the Red Skull, who had previously stolen Charles Xavier's brain after his death in Avengers vs. X-Men. Using it, he becomes Red Onslaught, possessing Charles' psychic powers, but using them to spread hate and control minds globally. The Avengers and X-Men team up to stop him, but the Red Onslaught proves too powerful. He mind controls key heroes, sows chaos, and unleashes adamantium sentinels, designed specifically to kill superhumans. Desperation forces the heroes to call on unlikely allies, villains like Loki, Carnage, Deadpool, Sabretooth, and Enchantress to help save the world. And to stop the Red Onslaught, Scarlet Witch and Doctor Doom cast a massive magical spell, a moral inversion intended to suppress the Red Skull's evil. But the spell backfires. Instead of just affecting the Red Skull, the magic surges outward and inverts the personalities of everyone present. Heroes become cold, ruthless, and authoritarian, and villains suddenly find themselves altruistic, noble, and even heroic. And this includes characters like Iron Man, who becomes arrogant and morally bankrupt, unleashing the Extremis app to rewrite people's biology for a price. Sam Wilson as Captain America becomes ruthlessly aggressive, punishing threats without hesitation. Thor is brutish and uncaring, and meanwhile villains like Carnage and Sabretooth become gentle and self-sacrificing. And Carnage even tries to become a Spider-Man-style hero. With inverted personalities, many heroes begin taking over the world in the name of order, and the inverted villains form their own team to stop the heroes. And the few uninverted heroes and villains must gather together to undo the spell and set things right. Eventually, Scarlet Witch and Doom cast another spell, and this time properly reversing the inversion for most characters, but not all effects are undone. At the end of the event, some characters remain inverted, creating long-term changes. Iron Man stays inverted for a time, becoming Superior Iron Man, a more manipulative and morally grey version of himself. Sabretooth, now noble and guilt-ridden, becomes more like Wolverine trying to redeem himself, and Red Skull is left in a fractured state. While the core concept was widely praised for its creativity and unpredictability, some critics felt the execution was rushed or uneven, and that character behavior was exaggerated for shock value. Spider-Verse. It is one of the most ambitious and beloved Marvel crossover events, published from 2014 to 2015. The event spans multiple Spider-Man titles and tie-ins, and centers around the idea that every Spider-Person across the Marvel multiverse is being hunted, and only by uniting can they hope to survive. It's a celebration of decades of Spider-Man history. Pulling in hundreds of variants, Spider-Verse delivers both fan service and high stakes, built around a new cosmic level threat that wants to erase every spider-powered being from existence. So across the multiverse, multiverse, a family of vampiric beings, known as the Inheritors, are hunting down and feeding on spider totems, the mystical spider-powered beings of every dimension. The Inheritors consume the life force of spider heroes, and they don't just want to feed, they want to wipe them all out. The Inheritors include Morlun, the most infamous who previously terrorized Earth 616 Spider-Man, Solus, the Patriarch and leader of the Inheritors, Deimos, Verna, Jinx, and Karn each has their own method of slaughter, and as the Inheritors jump between universes killing Spider-Man and Spider-Woman, it becomes clear this is a multiversal extinction event. So realizing they're being hunted, Spider people from across the multiverse begin to gather. Key members include Peter Parker from Earth 616, Spider-Gwen from Earth 65, Miles Morales from Earth 1610, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man 2099, Penny Parker, and dozens more. There's also Silk, a new character from Earth 616 who shares Peter's origin and is one of the special totems the Inheritors seek. Together they form a spider army. It is later revealed that the Inheritors are hunting three key spider totems tied to a prophecy: the Bride, Silk, whose presence drives Morlun into a frenzy; the other, a primal spider entity associated with death and rebirth; and Benji Parker, the infant son of Spider-Girl, Mayday Parker, who represents the future. The Inheritors believe that by killing these three, they can shatter the web of life and destiny, the mystical structure connecting all spider beings, and end the spider lineage forever. Eventually, the heroes mount a final assault on Loomworld, the Inheritors' home dimension. With the help of Karn, the black sheep of the Inheritor family who turns on his kind, the spider army traps the Inheritors on a radioactive world, Earth 1345, where they can no longer feed. Karn then becomes the new Weaver, a cosmic guardian of the web of life and destiny, tasked with maintaining balance across the Spider-Verse. This event led to Spider-Gwen's solo success and more prominence for characters like Silk and Miles Morales, and was the first large-scale glimpse of the multiversal nature of Spider-Man before Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse made it mainstream. Civil War 2. It's a spiritual sequel to the original Civil War that came out in 2006. This story explores a more philosophical and emotional divide, one rooted not in government control like the first one, but in predictive justice. So the story pits Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, against Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, as they find themselves on opposite sides of a moral dilemma involving a new Inhuman with the power to see the future. This Inhuman named Ulysses has the extraordinary ability to foresee future events with seemingly perfect accuracy. When Ulysses predicts a devastating celestial invasion, the heroes act on his vision, and they succeeded in stopping the attack before it happens. And this event sparks a philosophical debate. Captain Marvel believes Ulysses' visions can save lives and should be used to prevent crimes and disasters before they occur. And Iron Man argues that predicting the future isn't the same as knowing it, and acting on visions that may not come true is dangerous and unethical. And this ideological clash escalates into a full-blown war between two factions of heroes, each with their own view on whether the future should be controlled or left unknown. In one of the first major battles against Thanos, acting on a Ulysses prediction, War Machine is killed and She-Hulk is critically wounded, and this deeply affects both Carol, Rhodey's partner, and Tony, his best friend, pushing the rift further. Tony, trying to understand how Ulysses' visions work, abducts and studies him, discovering that his powers are based on data, probability, and simulation, not certainty. Ulysses predicts that Bruce Banner will kill everyone. Acting on this, Carol and the other heroes confront Banner, and Hawkeye kills him, claiming Banner asked him to if he ever lost control. Hawkeye is put on trial, further dividing the superhero community. Ulysses has another vision, Miles Morales killing Steve Rogers on the steps of the Capitol. Carol moves to detain Miles for his protection, while Tony insists on letting Miles make his own choices. The escalation conflict leads to a climatic battle between Carol and Tony, and during the fight, Danvers unleashes a powerful energy blast that puts Tony into a coma. Though not dead, Tony is left in a vegetative state, being kept alive by his own technology. In the aftermath, Captain Marvel is hailed as a hero by the government, receiving expanded authority in intergalactic defense, and Tony Stark is replaced by AI Tony, who helps mentor Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. And the superhero community is deeply fractured once again, with many questioning how far they should go to prevent future tragedies. So unlike the original Civil War, which was more political, this story is more philosophical and personal, challenging heroes not just on what they fight for, but why. And while Civil War 2 had high ambitions, it received mixed to negative reviews, with many fans feeling it lacked the narrative weight and emotional impact of its predecessor. Criticisms include character inconsistencies, over-reliance on shock value, and that the event existed to set up new titles rather than stand on its own. AXE Judgment Day. It's a major crossover event from 2022. It brings together three powerful forces in the Marvel Universe: the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Eternals, in a war that quickly transforms into an apocalyptic moral reckoning. The story begins with the Eternals discovering that mutants are essentially excess deviation, a term used by Eternal programming to identify things that must be purged. Mutants now living on the sentient island of Krakoa have mastered resurrection technology through the Five, allowing them to bring any mutant back to life. To the Eternals, this is a violation of natural law, so Druig, the scheming Prime Eternal, sees the opportunity to declare war on the mutants. Druig wants to solidify his power and frames the war as fulfilling the Eternals' holy programming, ordering their forces, including powerful Eternal war machines called the Hex, to wipe out Krakoa and destroy mutant resurrection. As the war escalates, the Avengers are drawn into the chaos, trying to prevent mass extinction. In desperation, Iron Man, Ajax, and Mr. Sinister hatch a radical plan to resurrect a dead Celestial, specifically the Progenitor, and program it with their values to act as a mediator between Eternals, humans, and mutants. The Celestial awakens, but it doesn't mediate. Instead, it announces that it will judge all of Earth, deciding whether humanity as a whole deserves to survive. Every individual, hero, villain, or civilian will be judged based on their morality, choices, and worth, and they have 24 hours. One by one, the Celestial visits individuals and renders personal judgments. It's not about power or legacy, but who they are at their core. Captain America is judged unworthy, so despite his efforts to be a good man, the Celestial sees him as ineffective at changing the world. Cyclops is judged worthy, Iron Man fails, Jean Grey passes, and even everyday people are judged, some pass, other fails, with no clear pattern or logic. The Celestial's looming presence terrifies the planet, and as it seems poised to judge Earth unworthy, mass panic breaks out. The heroes realize that the Celestial is going to destroy Earth, and in a moment of rare unity, Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, and even villains come together to try to stop it. In the climax, a small group enters the Celestial's mind, confronting aspects of his judgment and arguing for humanity's right to grow and change. Ajax, who had helped resurrect the Celestial, ultimately sacrifices herself, merging with the Progenitor to reshape its judgment and give Earth a second chance. So the Celestial dies, but its judgment leaves deep scars, not physically but emotionally. Druig is dethroned after failing to lead the Eternals, and Uranus, the ancient Eternal Warlord, is imprisoned once again. But his short appearance devastated planets and showed how truly dangerous he is. Ajax resurrects as Ajax Celestia, a new divine being, possibly replacing the Celestials with a god made by and for Earth's people. The Eternals begin to rethink their purpose, now unbound from blind obedience, and Krakoa survives, but its vulnerability is now known, and the relationship between Eternals, mutants, and humans is forever altered, with mutual trauma and new respect.